Hello, folks. So today's guest is James Swift, who's the co-founder of Urban Stay, and he also has recently started a new venture called One Place, which is a platform to improve booking and managing of corporate accommodation. So I actually want to delve into that too. But first, James, if you want to just tell us how it all started with Urban Stay and a little bit about that business.
Yeah, absolutely. So I co-founded Urban Stay with my girlfriend at the time, now wife, just over 13 years ago. I came from a background in the service department industry in London. When I first moved here about 17 years ago, it was the first professional job that I had as a sales manager for a Canary Wharf firm. Rose through the ranks there over about 5 years, learned the ins and the outs of the industry before I decided to leave to go back to school and get my MBA, thinking I'm going to leave this hospitality and service department world behind. And then when I was in school, I got really excited by the entrepreneurship track that was an option there. And when it came time to do my final thesis, I did a thesis on service departments, basically what I knew really, really well. And actually, everyone was saying, wow, why don't you just do this? So I was talking to Jenny about this, and we knew we wanted to be together. She's from Germany. Unfortunately, I don't speak any German. So our options in Europe were a little bit limited. And we decided, you know what, let's give it a shot. So we packed up, we moved to London, me back to London, and we got a little bit of money from my parents and Jenny and my savings. And we started with two apartments at Liverpool Street in the city, and built that up over the years to just over 200 units before COVID.
Wow.
We
So
won
when was this, James? When did you start?
2014. That was
2014.
back in
Okay, so we're
2014.
Okay, wow. And sorry, I mean, I don't want to veer off too much, but I'm always amazed and inspired at when people do that, obviously from an entrepreneurial level. You just went for it. Did you just buy two properties or did you lease two properties on Liverpool Street? You just went for it?
We leased them. We just went
We
for
leased
it.
them.
We literally had just enough money to pay for those two flats and our own personal apartment, first and last month's rent. And then we basically had 30 days to
Wow.
make money and pay our bills. Otherwise, we would have been out of business. And we just about pulled through by the skin of our teeth. And we were doing that month on month and just saving what money we could until we managed to get another flat. And then a year or so went by when we finally, I think it built it up to five apartments. And then just before year three, we actually got our first block of flats, four two-bed apartments just
Wow.
around and then from there, it kind of accelerated.
It
And
started screwing.
yeah,
How did you get those first clients all those years ago? In the first 30 days, what did you
well,
do to get those first sales?
that is where my experience had come in. So for the 5 years that I worked in the industry before starting Urban Stay, I built a lot of relationships. And one of them was with a sales director for a big service department agency. And I just basically picked up the phone and I spoke with Chris and I said, I'm starting my own firm. I'd really love if you guys could send some business my way. And he not only sent good business our way, but he gave me favorable credit terms as well. I think it was like 7-day credit terms in order to get us on our feet. So
Wow. Of
it was a big help from him right off the bat. But that was a relationship I'd spent years forming
course.
beforehand.
You go,
So
okay, well, I won't go too far down that road. But yeah, my God, that's, and it goes to show so many businesses, so many people I've spoke to out here, that gap between complete and utter bankruptcy and success, it's so fine. And it's a very common thing I hear, guys running huge firms now, and they're like, oh no, at year two and at year five and at year 10, it was all on the line. And
oh
you
yeah.
just have to. So, so what's changed? I mean, that's 12 years, I guess. So in the last, 5 years, to bring it up a little bit modern, what has changed in your world? You're obviously getting a bit bigger now. There's a scale behind it. What has changed in your industry?
Yeah. So when COVID hit, that was a
Mm.
big issue for us. And we through massive, intense negotiations with a lot of the landlords that we worked with, we either got favorable terms or we decided to part ways. But Urban Stay scaled down on the properties that we directly managed, but we increased our agency footprint. So we started partnering with other firms around the country, basically expanding what we could offer to our corporate clients through preferred partnerships. And we found that was a great way for us to scale without the associated overhead that rents or lease agreements would have otherwise basically held us with. So we scaled Urban Stay through partnerships and through basically acting as an agent, which, as you touched on earlier, is how we came to found
To
One Place.
one place, yes. Well, before we get into that, I mean, can you dig into that a little bit? So, did COVID push you to see the industry this way, or was that option of partnerships not there before COVID, if that makes sense? Did COVID open it up, or actually, I could have done this at any time?
No, so we were dabbling in it beforehand, and we were building a little bit of an agency arm. But what COVID did was just push us more in that direction. So it was always an option. I think it's a very strange industry, the service department industry, in the sense that everyone, even competitors, actually work together naturally.
Hmm.
So if you have a big corporate client, there's absolutely no way for you to fulfill all of their requirements yourself. There's not a
Okay.
single firm in the world that is big enough to do that. So you have to have partnerships in order to satisfy the client demand in properties that you don't directly manage, but that you vetted and that you know are up to the same standard that you would offer them yourself.
Mhm.
And then you do that in exchange for commission, and it's kind of everyone works together. It's a very symbiotic industry.
Yeah. And again, not to veer off, but it's amazing how in the last few years, that obvious marketing angle of partnerships and collaborations, but I think I'm coming to realize in my kind of latter years of being a marketer of just how powerful they are. You know, you start up a business, it's your business, and you are not blinkered, but you have to promote your own products and services. And then you have the basic tools of marketing in front of you. But really, you get heavily influenced by digital. Everything just veers onto the internet, and you get so into social media and ads, and it just seems like it's so in front of us that you sort of forget to walk down the street and think, is there any way I can partner with other businesses that might be in my industry or might not be? Because really, whatever you are, if you just bundle a few of us together and we create offers or something, and now
Yeah,
there's a bit of a collective, you're
yeah,
so much more powerful. And I feel like most businesses tend to just market themselves. And if whether you're a pub or a restaurant or if you're doing it on your own, it's very, very difficult. And I'm kind of realizing that partnerships and collaborations are a very secret weapon, which essentially doesn't cost anything. It's just
yeah.
let's get a bit bigger together, and our money stretches and etc. So it seems so obvious, and yet I don't think many businesses at all do it. So, what's currently working best in the business right now? Just on Urban Stay for a second, what's working? Is it running smoothly, or are you
Yeah.
still having to push and market? How are you getting clients yourselves at the moment?
Well, we always have to push and market. So I'm always interested in, seeing what else is out there. And I'm still speaking with new clients. We're always setting new meetings, especially with partnering with other companies throughout the UK and Northern Ireland. Urban Stay is very well positioned now to have a lot more to offer our corporate clients than we did pre-COVID, when we were really, as you said, just focused on our own stock. So
Mhm.
now we have a much larger offering, and so we're able to actually attract, say, bigger fish to us, which is quite nice. And that is the direction that we've been heading now for the past couple of years.
And in your world, James, so is that sales? I mean, is it very much meeting led, or is it marketing? Do you do any outward marketing of outreach, or is it, can I
Uh,
get a
um,
meeting?
no, it's mostly sales led. So we
Okay.
do a bit of marketing. We have a social media presence, and we're attending trade shows and things like this. But the direct sales, direct communication with the travel managers or the global mobility managers is still absolutely integral to what we
Okay.
do.
And what's the biggest challenge in terms of urban stay? If you had a magic wand to fix one thing within the business, what would it be?
Uh, I mean, it's kind of a throwaway occupancy. We can
Okay.
always look for higher occupancy. I think with urban stay, it would be growing outside of the UK, partnering maybe more internationally in order to just continue that rise. So that is something that we're focused on. But yeah, I would say that's probably it. It's growth through partnerships and new client acquisition. That's what we're focused on right now.
So last random question on urban stay. I saw in your servicing you have private chef servicing. So it's one of many services, but I just saw that one. And I just wanted to gauge, does that get used often? That kind of level of service, does it get used or not?
It's funny that you mentioned that. I think it's been used one time.
Okay. Okay.
To be totally honest, we have a lot of other partnerships though that do get used quite a lot. So we partnered with a luggage storage service called Stasher,
Mm.
and luggage those get used a lot. Order luggage transfer from airport to the apartment that gets used, and we also for our direct corporate clients we offer a complimentary taxi service as well to and from the airport. So those have been used quite heavily. I think anything that you can offer to the guest to enhance their stay is always
Mm.
going to be a benefit.
Yeah. I'm almost glad of that answer because I think that's, just reality of storage, taxi, you know, boring services make it well. No, that's not going to do it. What about a private chef?
Yeah.
And you get caught up in something sometimes. And I think my marketing brain has to split sometimes. So I'm sort of glad of that answer because a lot of the times it's just that it's like, no, pick them up, managing their luggage. It's a good stay. Just do it perfectly. Don't get carried away with marketing ploys.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
okay, so there you go.
Private chef was on there.
Indeed, because the hospitality market for me and a lot of my clients is splitting. I'm seeing this kind of huge split to luxury, this luxury market, and I guess maybe it's my Irish brain. Of course it works.
Yeah.
It's $1 billion industry. I'm not sitting here saying it doesn't work, but there is something not authentic about it. That I think there's something boring about it. That you're like, the rooftop and the affinity pool and there's this, but
Yeah.
luxury is just luxury, and then I think there's almost a boringness to it, and then the rest of the hospitality market is stuck now in this normalcy. And I'm always trying to find the middle ground between over the top luxury and right down the middle perfection. And I like to just ask those little
Yeah.
quirky questions.
No, absolutely. I think that when it comes to business travel, you just have to get the necessities right.
Yeah.
Um, and keep the client happy. And it doesn't have to be overly complicated. And it's just about servicing the client's needs, making sure that the guest is happy and well looked
Mhm.
after, but without being too involved. That's the nature
Mhm.
of the service department industry, at least in the
Yeah.
B2B sphere. It really is quite hands off. We want you to feel like this is your private apartment. This is your private
Mhm.
residence. We don't get too involved. Whereas on maybe the luxury side of things, you have a concierge or you have a little bit more hand holding. That's not really what we focus on.
So you have moved into a new venture called One Place,
Yeah.
which seems to be the sort of refinement of your first sort of huge market. So what is the problem in the service accommodation industry that you felt wasn't being solved that One Place is now focusing on?
Yeah, absolutely. So it was when we started really focusing on growing Urban Stay's agency arm that we saw a lot of issues with how service departments are booked and managed because it tends to still be very, very offline. And the reason for that is the nature of service departments is you'll never have, a building with 200 units like you would a hotel, where you can
Mhm.
have all your availability online and you can always move things around in order to get a longer booking. Service departments they tend to be used for that stopgap when someone is relocating from abroad. So the company will give them, say, 30 days in temporary housing while they find their permanent housing. But very often, those 30 days are booked with only 2 or 3 days notice because that's when the visas come through. Now, in order to satisfy that corporate client requirement, you need to hold your stock offline because the last thing you want to do is have a 5 night booking.com booking that stops you from taking that good 30 night booking from your corporate client. Now, because it's offline, what you have to do to book that is you pick up the phone and talk to the provider or send them an email. It takes some time to compile your quotes. Oftentimes, by the time you get back to your client with some available options, that apartment might be gone or it takes them too long to decide. And we thought, okay, why can't this be more intuitive and more online for everyone?
Mm.
And that's when we created One Place. So we spent the past 12 months developing this website, properly coded. It's dead easy to use. But basically, what this does is it allows the travel managers or the global mobility managers or even guests to make an inquiry with very detailed requirements, like if they need lift access or if they need pet friendly options or garden space. And we've created an algorithm that weights each requirement a little bit heavier than other ones. So location would be very high. An accessible apartment would be very high on the list. These are non-negotiables. And then it only chooses the providers that match that the best. And it will give you basically say this apartment matches 95%, this apartment matches 75%. And it only goes to those providers. So when they're receiving this invitation to bid for the business, they know that they've got a very high chance of winning it because the algorithm has pre-chosen them. So when they submit the bid, it then goes back to the client or the guest in question. They've already loaded their card information or their payment information. They get to choose what they want. It goes straight back to the provider. That booking is complete. And it's basically instantaneous without having to get a person involved physically compiling anything. We've linked the travel manager to the provider directly through our platform, which speeds the whole process along for everyone. It's absolutely open and clear, and it's just making life a lot easier for everyone. So that's why we decided to create One Place, is basically an open marketplace for corporate travel.
Yeah,
To grow.
it's a game changer, really. I mean, is there many other businesses like it out there, James, with that
No,
same? Nothing yet. Okay, wow.
no.
Now, to ask a silly question, but I'm almost just trying to understand it more on the kind of what's happening in the back end, where, and maybe you answered it. So, I'm the Airbnb host, and obviously, when someone books, it's not booked, and I can accept. But once I accept, it's done. It's instantaneous.
Yeah,
So,
so that
are you essentially saying that if I do have a booking of the 5 nights in the month, it's up
mm,
to me then that I can move them around, or
that
is that it?
that's exactly right. So
Okay.
basically, we've given the providers the opportunity to win this business that they would never be able to win via sites like Airbnb or Booking.com, because the nature of service departments is you're always holding stock offline. So what we're doing is making it available online, essentially, for you when you're invited to bid. Maybe you don't have that apartment online because you do have a 5 night booking here and a 3 night booking there. But in order to win this business, of course, you're going to move things around yourself and then say,
Perfect.
okay, you know what? I would love to get this business. I would be able to take it. And we're giving basically the providers the opportunity to win business they wouldn't otherwise be able to.
It's as simple as that. That's genius. Is that very much linked to our new world of AI? Is this one of the best examples I've seen now of an AI platform where, like, this is just a highly mathematical back
Yeah,
end system and AI can do it?
it absolutely is. I mean, we have
Okay.
spent literally 12 months building that back end with a team of developers, and I mean, there's nothing else like it.
I'd be very intrigued to see where you go with this, because obviously you've developed a piece of software or an algorithm for your particular industry, but it doesn't take a lot to kind of think. But I mean, obviously, every hotel in the world, the accommodation manager is every day trying to create a jigsaw of, I have a football team arriving, and I have a hen, and I have a family, and I have, and I have to move the hotel around every day to try and suit everyone. And it's an endless jigsaw. And
Yeah.
it's almost an impossible jigsaw, because sometimes you can't figure it out. But of course, an AI will be able to do it instantly.
Oh,
So you might just have an automated software where, by now gauging the people within your bookings, I've allocated rooms better, just in an
absolutely.
instantaneous. So yeah, you better get on that patent, James. I don't know. There's something there that you're like, this could be the backbone of the entire hospitality industry in the next few years.
I would, if that were the case, absolutely. I mean, we literally just launched this about 2.5 weeks ago, and
Wow.
I've been on calls with providers around the world, getting them signed up, and everyone seems really excited about it because there really is nothing like that in the market. And so,
Wow.
yeah, I've very high hopes for this new direction of ours.
That's incredible. Because funny, I guess it's the same principle, but I was speaking with a head of a hotel association in America there recently, and I was asking him tips, in terms of, you guys are massive, so, but the independent player, and we're talking about AI, what can they do? Um, and he gave like a simple example, in the sense of, when you bring in your cleaners, if the rooms were all family rooms, it's going to
Mm,
take extra time. Whereas if it was 5 corporate travelers where guys were in for one night, it probably will take less. And he's
yep.
like, overtime is one of the biggest issues with independent hotels. They get crushed on not being able to manage cleaning and staff and overtime. And he's like, the bigger players have algorithms in there which can kind of manage this stuff better. However, AI has now come along. So if you're an independent, really try and get it in there because it can do these quite essentially impossible statistical stuff in the back end where you actually only need two cleaners tomorrow because there was 10 corporate, but you're like, wow, over a year, of course, sure, that's, tens
That,
of hundreds of thousands of revenue.
absolutely. Yeah.
And it was a good example of AI can do stuff to, can you give me an example of how? And I felt like that was a very good one. Yours is obviously even more complicated, but it's obviously on the similar principle. So, well, if one place is successful over the next 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, I mean, what are you thinking? What are you aiming for?
We are aiming for the moon. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I see this as being the best opportunity that we've had in a really long time in order to scale globally, to go truly international. It's something that would work for absolutely everybody in the industry because I know how service departments in the B2B sphere, that's my entire background. And I know that this is solving a tremendous problem for them as for providers as well as travel managers. Uh, Something else that we've done through the process as well is enable two-way communication between providers and guests. A lot of times the agents in our industry tend to inject themselves a little bit too much into the process where they actually oftentimes don't even want the guests to be in touch with the providers directly for some reason, which if a guest has an issue, don't you want them to get it solved immediately by speaking to the provider? So we've enabled two-way communication through our platform, which sounds basic, but it's novel in our industry, remarkably.
I was in Rome there recently and we stayed in a service department. Very impressive. And it was all no staff around. It was kind of incredible. But the next morning, our locker would not work. I couldn't open the locker in which our luggage was in. And all of a sudden, the time we had to get to an airport started getting very panicked. And
Yeah.
I didn't know my options. We were looking in emails to find a phone number. We were ringing. And thankfully, there was sort of a janitorial person within the apartments who came down and just opened it for us. They didn't even,
Right.
they were just this one and they just had a key and they just opened it up. We could have been anyone, but we got our luggage. But, our very nice stay
It-
could have been completely, I'm never staying here again on the flip of a hat. Um,
yeah.
well, so how do you market something like that, James, in terms of, is it, you have to just get out there as fast as you can? Is it conferences? Is it sales calls?
Yeah, 100%. It's a combination of everything. So we will next year, we're going to be taking one place on the road. But in terms of getting providers on board, it is just researching and contacting the right people, arranging calls, demonstrating the system. So basically, what we're doing now is we're getting as many providers internationally as we can on our platform, which everyone seems very excited about. So everyone is quite thrilled by this. But once we have established basically a base in that regard, then I will be going to our existing clients as well as new clients in international markets and saying, look, this is what we've got for your business travel. And it's novel, it's unlike anything else out there. And hopefully we start winning some business that way.
Well, just another random question. You mentioned social media. So, from a marketing perspective, I mean, does it work? Does it help your business at all? Do you think, is it just a bit of awareness? Give me an honest answer in the sense of what's your take on your world of social media?
I will give you a very honest answer. In the world of B2B service departments, it does not generate new clients or new revenue, but it does help with brand awareness. But most importantly, it helps with SEO. So
Ah,
linking your website through the social media channels, it actually helps a tremendous amount in that regard. But in new client acquisition, I'd say it just maybe
of
helps
course.
with, well, when you speak to them, they go, oh, Urban Stay or one place. I recognize that name, so maybe there's a little bit of trust built in, but it doesn't generate new business
Of
necessarily.
course, of course. Are you struggling with the two brands? So, I mean, if I met you again in 12 months and everything has gone perfectly, what does success look like? Is it two separate companies? What are we seeing?
Yeah, it is two separate companies already. I would say what success would look like would be Urban Stay's managed portfolio would be, well, we would be completely focused on that with Urban Stay and no longer acting as an agent in Urban Stay. We would shift in all of that business into one place and growing them independently of each other. So Urban Stay focused on the managed portfolio and one place focused on the agency side of the business.
James, fantastic. Well, maybe we'll schedule in for next year. I'd be very excited to see where all this goes. If anyone wants to learn a little bit more about yourself or the businesses, just point them in the right direction.
Absolutely. So you can always reach us at urban-stay.co.uk or our newest website, theoneplace.io.
Amazing. James, thank you very much.
Thank you as well.